Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode.
Hello, everybody, and good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. It is December 1st. Whoopity fucking doo-dah. Do you believe that? End of the year is around the corner. December 1st is, or December, the beginning of December, I've always said is a good time to start making the changes that you want for the next year. It's a month where people, if they allow themselves to just get run right into with stress, with overeating, not taking care of yourself, all the things that you say to yourself, I'm going to change. And I'm guilty of this too. You say it to yourself on a Friday. All right, I'm going to change. And then you get fucked up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But you say it on Friday on purpose because you know that you're just going to get. And you're like, all right, Sunday's like a new day. Isn't it funny how just certain days, it's just another day, right? Like from the 31st of December to the 1st of January, it's just another day. But for some reason, people are like, whoa, we just finished 365 of these things, and now this one happens to be ever so magnificent because we put a beginning and an end date on what we've called a year. And you do the same thing on a weekly basis when you look in the mirror and you're like, damn, my sides are getting chubby. These underwear make me look terrible. Makes me look like I'm squeezing into something. It looks like I'm a genie coming out of a bottle. And you're like, I need to do something. But you realize it's toward the end of the week, and you're like, fuck. I mean, I already planned to go. Or even better, you say it when you're fucked up. Yeah, man, this is it. After this, while you're drinking with your buddies, this is it. After this, I think I'm going to take a break for a month. After this, I think I'm going to stop for a little bit. Knocking them back. Bang, bang. But tonight we're going to have fun. Drinking. And then, when it comes time for you to actually do it, you're like, oh, shit. This is way harder than I made it out to be. We make our toughest leaps. We try to make our toughest leaps. We make our most courageous statements in times of extreme comfort. That's not my observation. That's from, Can't Hurt Me. That's what it is. Can't Hurt Me. David Goggins. He says that in the book, and I was like, that is so fucking true. It's so true. You're lying on the couch after you skipped your gym session, and you're like, man, today I fucked up, but tomorrow we're going to get right back on the horse. And you're laying there, you're waiting for your microwave meal to be done. That's the only reason why you'll get up is to go pick that up and then rest it on your tummy and watch fucking Star Wars, whatever you watch. And you sit there and eat it. And you eat it like a fucking animal. And you're like, tomorrow's going to be good. And it is good to have a short memory when you fuck up, right? And all this fucking irony that I'm adding to this scenario goes away if the next day you do what you said, right? If you're getting fucked up, you're like, all right, tonight's the last time, and tomorrow you get after it like you're supposed to, like you said you would. Hey, more fucking power to you. But more often than not, we become Superman. We're superheroes when we're comfortable, right? We're in the car driving. I think I'm going to go for a walk later on. Something as simple as a walk. But you're in the car driving. You don't know how cold it is outside, even with your heat off. Your car's way warm, usually, not always. But you get what I'm saying. You're in your car. I'm going to go for a walk later after your long, dreadful day at your fucking mindless task that you do for money, sitting there draining your soul of anything, really. And you're like, I think I'm going to take a walk today. Today's the day I'm going to do it. I've been planning for a while. I've been waiting for the perfect time. I was going to do it last Thursday, but unfortunately I had to get pizza for the family. It was my turn to buy, so we had to do that. And I couldn't do it after because that's when Survivor comes on, and that's how we spend time. And I couldn't do it after that because, well, I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was 11:30, so I couldn't. It's not the right time. And then the next day, I had a podiatrist's appointment, so I couldn't really walk around too much on that. That was Friday. I got out of work early to go there and do that, and then I had the rest of the night off, so I took the missus out. And it just goes and goes. And then finally, you're like, yep, today's going to be the day. And then you get out of your car, and you're like, wow, it's actually kind of chilly out. I'm not going to grab a jacket. I'm just going to go in the house. And that's it. End of that little hurdle that you were hoping to get over, because you realized what you signed up for wasn't what you thought it was. That's a common theme in life, right? Not always, but a lot of the time, right? I want to be this, and you start doing it, you're like, whoa, this is hard, man. There's like stuff you got to do. You got to like be prepared to learn on the spot and do and not be good at it, not like it for a little bit. Like it, not like it, like it, not like it, and go in and out. And you got to be ready for all those things. People don't realize the emotional turmoil it takes to get out of your car and go for a walk once in a while. You don't understand how hard it is for some people to just every once in a while put on some gloves and a hat. Or if it's the summertime, don't wear a shirt. Who cares if you're a fat slob? That's why you're walking. Walk around, Going for a walk. I've always loved going for walks. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up on walking around and talking nonsense. That's why I am trying so hard to make my living off of my God-given ability of talking nonsense. Because ideally, this podcast would be me walking around my neighborhood with my microphone on and somehow videotaping myself, walking around, and I would talk. And I would do, that's ideally what I would want to do. But that's not practical. And I don't know, maybe I'll do something like that someday. Thinking about it now, that's not the worst idea. I would have to get my friends in on it, though, because my friends were the ones, we would sleep over each other's houses, and at midnight, we'd be like, want to go for a walk? This was before weed. Forget when weed came along. When weed came along, it was game over. We were walking all hours of the night. We'd get back in my house 3 a.m. My family's fast asleep upstairs. Oh, they're just hanging out in the basement. We're gone. We're on the other side of town, smoking dope, walking around. That's when we were smoking. But even before that, before we were smoking, like I'm talking about middle school to like sophomore year. I think that was the first time I tried weed. Sophomore or maybe early junior year. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. We would fucking meet up, and there'd be nothing to do. We're kids. We barely have any money, right? Until we started working a little bit. Then we could, go places. But we always said, what the fuck are we going to do when we can start driving? When we can start driving, we're not going to be able to walk around anymore. What are we going to do? And then walking around goes away. It goes away except for very specific events. Maybe we're on mushrooms. Maybe where Kevin is, and we're walking around New York City. We're doing these. It's very specific. You can't just say to your buddies, want to go walk around? It's midnight. Let's walk around and smoke weed. But I fucking love going for walks. I vouch for walks. When I'm writing sometimes, or when I'm doing the podcast and I'm putting things together, the sound bites and the clips and whatever the fuck else, I will stop and go for a fucking walk, and I'll come back. It works really well when writing. And I forgot where I heard it, and I'm sure a bunch of people have heard it as well. But if you're writing or making something, I'm sure it would work with anything else that takes focus. After you do your allotted time, an hour that you force yourself to do, get up and go for a fucking walk. 20-minute walk, come back, go right back to it. I feel like that would apply to a lot of things. A lot of things that you aren't, physical. Like, I'm not saying you're retiling your floor, take a break by going on a walk. No. Fucking lay down if you want. I don't know. Well, if you're retiling your floor, you're probably laying down. So get the fuck up and go for a walk if you're doing that. But no, I get it. It's my whole point of all this was December is an easy skip over month for people because the end of the end of November. I wanted to say Thanksgiving so hard. The end of November just elicits that behavior, right? The end of November is, again, my favorite week, right? It's Blackout Friday, Thanksgiving, Blackout Wednesday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then right into Cyber Monday. And the whole week is just a big fuck-off week. It's the biggest travel week in the world because everyone knows that they can go see their family for a week and all their friends. They can all get fucked up with reckless abandon, and it'll set them up to coast for the rest of the year. All you have is one more month, right? It's just one more month. It's just one more month. Who cares if you just keep eating? January is like Monday, right? January, right now it's Saturday. Okay, right now it's Sunday, actually, in terms of if we were to equate a week to this time of the year, this is Sunday. This is the end. We're getting brunch. We're doing bottomless mimosas. We're getting fucked up. We're drinking all day. That's what if we're in nice areas. We're going on the lake. We're doing everything, right? That's what this time is, just like on a Sunday. And then January is going to be Monday. Monday, the time to switch. We're going to change everything on Monday. Monday's the day. Monday's the day. We're in the most comfortable time of year. Holidays, everyone's together for the most part. Everyone's together. Everyone's sharing food and giving each other gifts, and everyone's around. And ooh, 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 ooh. How civilized, how nice all of this is. It is, for sure. But, it's strange how we give ourselves, like, so much rope. Just a little bit, and then now we're going to do it. And then usually what happens is a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people just don't end up doing it. They wait for the perfect time, whatever it is. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for this or whatever. I think the best thing to do is take it a day at a time. Live for the day. Who knows if you'll make it if you get fucked up today, all right, you got fucked up. Good. Don't make a promise to yourself that tomorrow you're going to do something else. Because it's a completely different day, and you'll be in a completely different state of mind. You understand? Again, most courageous leaps are in the most comfortable positions. Once you end up leapt, right? Once you land into the area that you've leapt in, now it's time for the real shit. But again, all of this doesn't matter at all. None of this matters at all, right? I mean, I don't look at January 1st as anything different than fucking July 18th. Like, who gives a fuck? It's whatever. You follow what I'm saying? It's just a day. It's just another day. But there is a psychological thing that a lot of us do where we just give ourselves a little bit of time, just a little bit. Last week I didn't do anything last week. I did no comedy. I did no stand-up last week. Not one open mic. Not even one. I didn't do one open mic. I didn't exercise at all, right? Didn't go to the gym. Didn't do a goddamn thing. Didn't do anything. All I did was eat and drink all fucking week. All week. You guys heard it on Monday. All I did was get fucked up all last week. And I had to force myself up until now to get after it again. It's time to do we got to do comedy. I know, because part of my head was like, oh, we'll just ride it out to the end of the year. I'll do a mic a week and we'll fucking... No, motherfucker. No. Can't be like them. Fuck that. Fuck that. You got to be unbreakable. You must be unbreakable. But again, all of this is mishmash because we end up in a box in the end. Don't forget to add that part in. All of it is, whatever. Do whatever the fuck you want. I'm just on here talking to myself in my apartment. Oh, God. Whatever happened to dubstep? Someone brought that up the other day in my group chat. Someone, I forgot who it was, but they brought up what happened to dubstep. Dubstep, at one point, people were looking at dubstep as the next big genre of music. It was the next big thing, right? Isn't that crazy? Imagine creating a whole new genre of music. Just a brand new one. And then having it be the popular music of the day, right? Like, you can make pop music, right? Bubblegum fucking pop music. And that can be its own genre. But then think about, like, all the different genres of hip-hop, right? All the different ways you can rap, all the different ways you can play rock music, right? Think about creating rock music, the headstone, or being a part of the generation or the group or whatever that created rock music or rap music. And then it's like, who came up with gangsta rap? Who came up with, I don't know, fast rapping fast? I don't know. You know what the fuck I'm saying. Mumble rap and lick my balls hip hop. What about that? It's crazy. Because I remember thinking at that time, because it was big, and I was in middle school, what a time to be around for that kind of music. That music where people take Molly and they sweat until 4 a.m., jumping on top of each other, bugging out, screaming, rah! And the music was wild. It was absolutely wild. I mean, that motherfucker Skrillex, that little small, half-bald motherfucker, was making some insanely, just wild-sounding music. A lot of it was kind of, not super palatable, in my opinion. A lot of it was a lot of noise. It had melodies and it had, musical aspects to it. But it was strange, right? It was very weird. I thought it was weird, but it got a massive pop because I think that it sounded very futuristic. Sounded very, spaceship fucking techno, you listen to techno music now, you're like, this is like weird, right? It's like similar, but dubstep is like fucking techno music on steroids, like hard body. Just fucking, and people are beatboxing like that. I went to school with a kid who would beatbox like that. In the middle of the hallways, just motherfuckers who went to school with me will know who I'm talking about. He ended up going to a competition or something and winning second place, which means nothing because in that same span of time that I heard that he was working at a supermarket afterwards. So that really doesn't mean much if you're the best dubstep beatboxer in the world. It doesn't mean much if you're a good beatboxer in general. Nobody cares about beatbox, and now you're doing it like a fucking, like a robot. I mean, I guess it can be a little impressive, but who gives a fuck, really? Anyway, that music just kind of fell out. Nobody does it anymore. There were like collabs with hip hop artists. They were doing it, and it was like a big thing. And it fucking, I mean, where's Skrillex now? Where is that small little creepy anemic fuck? What's he been up to? Is he still making music? I think I read that he had to pull out of some festivals because he was making music for his album, I guess. I mean, you would think that kind of, like, how do you have an album of that? I feel like that music is just played. You're just somewhere and it's on. And it's like, how do you get this? Oh, sure, I don't know. It's like otherworldly fucking cyborg alien music that just isn't, I don't know. What is Skrillex doing? I mean, he must be at a VFW somewhere, playing the hits, Bangarang. I'm sure all those veterans of foreign wars will love some dubstep music. Imagine booking Skrillex at a fucking VFW hall. A bunch of old, traumatized men just listening to this half haircut, half long hair, half bald, small little dude, watching him create sounds that elicit memories from just the worst possible times ever. Just get. The guy's imagining his buddy getting chopped in half with an M60 from across the way. Get. Bwam, 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 bwam. That's like the planes of overhead. Bwam, bwam. You know, I mean, he would be fucking them up. He would be, but that would be like good. That would be a hell of a prank, right? A hell of a prank. You know, but it has to be a VFW. It would be funny just for any old people at all. If there was like a dinner or something. A dinner at an old folks' home where family shows up. It's like once a year. It's the only time the family ever shows up. They're just waiting on her to die because she's got a collection of baseball cards that is revered by the family and they get first dibs. So they want to be there. And the nursing home knows this, so they want to get an artist that, you know, was at one point a very modern sounding artist. They want to attract the young kids in there as well. They want to attract the grandkids to show up and the nieces and nephews and pack the house out, really. And that would be funny if they had Skrillex go there. That'd be a good, like, hidden camera thing. But it would be way funnier for the VFW guys because, I mean, what a absolute slap in the face because most of them are from Vietnam, right? Most of them are from Vietnam who obviously they got treated, really fucking bad for the war, a war that they weren't, they didn't really have a say, right? How stupid were people in those days? They opposed the war and the troops. I mean, what the fuck do you want? These kids had no fucking choice. You think they wanted it? But again, that's an argument before I was ever even a fucking thought. So I have no reason to bring it up. But it would be good to see Skrillex do so, or maybe he's on like the Teen Choice Awards, and every time someone gets slimed, he plays some shit into the commercial, and they show him in the booth, and he's like, yeah, bobbing his head, right. And fucking the kids in the crowd, yeah, they don't even know who the fuck he is, right? The kids at the Teen Choice Awards, who the fuck? They're not going to know who Skrillex is. That's like bringing up Simon and Garfunkel. Jesus Christ, the dude, he fell off. He fell off so big. It's nuts. His style just went away. But what's crazy, this is something that's crazy, and you guys can look this up. There's an interview of Jim Morrison in the 60s, I would assume, because he died in 1970. Jim Morrison, for those of you who don't know, he was the lead singer of the famed band The Doors. If you don't know who The Doors are, put a gun in your mouth and squeeze. Or you could just look them up, because they have really good music. One of the best bands of all time, whatever. One of the greatest American rock bands to ever exist, with one of the most polarizing and interesting frontmen to have ever existed, I think, in music history. Jim Morrison. And Jim Morrison was he was in an interview, and he had sunglasses on and a big beard, and was answering questions very straightforward and almost solemnly. And and I think they got on the topic of where music was headed. I don't know if the guy asked him or whatever, doesn't matter. And he said, well, I think that music at some point will be one man behind machines, pressing buttons, maybe playing tapes. He says something along these lines, and he really predicts music like dubstep and house music, right? House music became a bigger genre, I would say, but I think it's different than dubstep. I feel like dubstep maybe is a subgenre. I don't know. I always was brought up to think that dubstep was its own fucking thing. House is a little more dancey. Dubstep's a little more punk rock. I don't know. But what a crazy, how interesting is that motherfucker was able to predict that kind of thing? Because he was so fucking right. I mean, my God. My golly. But I don't know. I hope dubstep is just gone forever. I feel like most people agree. I don't know if there's anybody walking around with, any of those guys playing in their headphones. I mean, how could you? Even at that time, I remember hanging out with a kid who was actually on the podcast, Alex Collins, and he was big into it. And this motherfucker would have headphones on, not earbuds, headphones, the full ear, blasting this shit, just blasting it. Some woman in the background singing. I haven't shaved in 3 months. You know, and this kid is just jamming. And I was like, this is nuts. This is just noise. This is mostly noise. So, I don't know. I hope it's gone. It was an interesting question, though. Very interesting. Because my middle school era was what? I went into high school in 2011, so middle school was 10, 9, and 8, roughly. So, wow, that sounds so crazy. I was in middle school in 2009. That's fucking nuts. But anyway, that time was nuts. I don't know if you guys remember. I spoke about Jersey Shore last time. Just the trends, the silly bands, the I Heart Boobies fucking bracelets for breast cancer. I still have one somewhere. I might have to break it back out. What is it? The Sesame Street clothes, where you could have a hat with fucking Cookie Monster on it and a fucking Grouch, Oscar the Grouch shirt. Oh, man. Osiris sneakers. I never had any. I had DC. I never skateboarded, but I wore DC because they looked comfortable. That's all it was. And they were soft. They were flat on the feet, which is good. I didn't know this then, but it's actually better to walk around on shoes that don't contort your feet so much. You know, I mean, unless you're running. Obviously, running, you want... there's an argument for both. But I would say you would want, flexible, cushioned shoes if you're going to run. Running's fucking hard on the body, hard on the knees. You wouldn't want flat shoes. You could get malleable shoes, right? Like those the ones that have, like, finger fucking... Your toes slip in them like a glove. That's what I was trying to say. Why am I talking about shoes? Who gives a fuck? Oh, in the olden days, it was just funny, man. LMFAO and Black Eyed Peas were just killing it. Teo Cruz, we're gonna light it up like it's dynamite. I remember just being fucking absolutely hopped up on Pepsi and Little Caesars pizza in my middle school, running around in the dark. I came to move. Me and my friends, we got my crew. I mean, my God, what a fucking time to be alive. And then you got dubstep rearing its ugly goddamn head. Dubstep might have even been a little bit after that. Might have been like beginning of high school. But anyway, who gives a fuck about that? It's a dead style of music. So I read something that said in France, this was a case that got brought up in, I guess, the French Supreme Court. We can pull up the article, so I'm not talking out of my cock. Basically, they fired a guy that did not want to hang out with all his coworkers after work. A French court ruled that companies cannot fire employees for being no fun. A lawsuit accused a Paris-based consulting firm of violating a man's rights by firing him for refusing to participate in after-work seminars and social events. So this guy was trying to quiet quit. He didn't want to be a part of the culture. He didn't want to fuck around with you people. He didn't want to, do a potluck and then go sing karaoke while Sandra gets fucked up on margaritas and makes a fool of herself and whips a titty out and inevitably ends up fucking somebody there. That's why all the men go in the first place and all the women go to make fun of her. But the men go to be the lucky one. But I would think in Paris, right, they get real rowdy. A little more rowdy than here. I don't know what their sexual guidelines are in like their corporate environments. I'm assuming this was a it's a Paris-based consulting firm. So it was a corporate environment. I wonder what the rules are there in France, because I said this before, in Europe they don't give a fuck about showing sex on. They don't care about swears. They don't care about none of that stuff. I would think they'd be a little bit more lax than over here. Like, you could probably get away with fucking a secretary as the mail carrier in an office in Paris. You know, like, you don't have to be a CEO. Like, here you have to be a CEO. Here, to get away with long-term sexual abuse of your employees, you have to have some money behind you. You have to be a VP, a CEO, a CFO. You got to have some letters after or before your name. You got to be somebody, okay? That's the prestige we put on sex in this country. Sex is demonized the same way that money is demonized, the same way that drugs are demonized. They're demonized in a way that glorifies them. And yes, it sounds like a contradiction because it fucking is. No matter how hard Jordan Belfort wants to say that his movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, should not look like fun, it should not look like a way that someone would want to live, is absolutely false. It's absolutely false. That's why the movie is so good, because it's so outrageous. It's exactly how many men, and probably women too, people in general, they want to live a life that's similar to that. Endless sex, endless drugs, endless money, and they're all put in the same category as to it's the same demonization of these things. Whereas in other countries, right, in a place like Paris, they don't necessarily glorify things. They just let them be as they are. This is sex. This is real life. This is, what the fuck? You're going to see it at some point, hopefully. So if you're going to see it in a movie, instead we hide it here, and the first time kids get a hand on anything sexual, it's fucking grotesque and fucking filthy and not real at all. It's synthetic as fuck, right? It's false. So, I'm not saying that in Paris it's easier to sexually assault women, or men for that matter, to sexually assault someone in your workplace. I'm not saying that it's easier to do that, but I would imagine that there's just a different societal and cultural outlook on the idea of that. And, like, what's going too far. Like, here in America, you could work in an office and say, wow, your hair looks beautiful, Nancy. And she could report you and you could lose your fucking job. Right? That's the truth. That is the honest-to-God truth. Right? Let alone touching somebody, let alone, fucking saying something that's actually sexual innuendo. I'm sure in these other countries you could say something like that and you're fine. Right? So I don't know. I don't know what their guidelines are. I don't know what it is. But what he says next is interesting. What this guy is not interested in sounds like, it sounds like what would be a fun after-work party. The man claimed the events involved excessive alcoholism and promiscuity, including mock sexual acts. The firm cited professional incompetence, i.e., social issues, as cause for firing. The court ruled that the firm violated the man's freedom of expression by firing him. Currently, U.S. workers can be fired for being no fun, lawyers say. Wow. So there's a couple things to unpack there. Number one, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion and what they want to do with their time. But that sounds like a very fun, that sounds like a good time. It sounds like a good party. And I can see why your boss or your people in the office, especially in another country, in a place like France, you can, I can see why they would not want you around anymore. Because it sounds like you're a boring fuck, right? Even if you just went for a drink and you didn't stay for the mock sexual acts. What even is that? Pretend blowjobs? Are there girls kneeling in front of guys just leaning back and forth pretending? Wow, look at this. Blowjobs. I mean, what do you mean? Are people, like, dancing provocatively? Is that what it is? Promiscuity. How can there be promiscuity and include mock sexual acts? It would be sexual acts, right? I don't know. What is a mock? Is that, does everyone just do, like, a staged orgy? like a staged, clothed, not touching each other orgy. This is as interesting as I mean, if that was the case, then I wouldn't go either. I mean, that would suck. That would suck. But alcoholism and promiscuity, I mean, that sounds like that's a good event, right? Just that alone tells me that there might be a little more leniency when it comes to corporate life in France. Maybe, right? If the seminars and the social events that are going on can be classified by at least one man at this firm, maybe it's just this firm, maybe they're the outlier, but he can classify it as being involved in excessive alcoholism and promiscuity, including mock sexual acts. I mean, that sounds a little more risque, or they're a little more out in the open with it, I suppose, because I've never been to a corporate party. I don't plan on it. I would hope never to. You know, I'd probably get fired for this, for being no fun. Because I would think that if I went to something like that, I would get fired for being too fun. Like, what if you have too much fun? That's the guy I would be. Everyone would be around talking about the office still, right? People are just, yeah, well, you know, Todd was, he was hogging all the ink, so I had to, you know, buy my own. And I mean, am I a bad person for asking for reimbursement from the office? I mean, I would never talk to Todd because he's the manager, but I mean, jeepers, I would love to, you know, maybe. And that's what they do. And I would show up stoned already, right? I'd be high, I'd have a bottle, right? People are drinking a glass of wine. I'd want to find the degenerates. I want to get fucking down. Let's get down. Okay? What about too much fun? Can you be too much fun? That sounds like that could be a law. That's already a law. You could be fired for having too much fun. That could definitely happen. That could definitely fucking happen. And I think that would be me. But I don't know. I feel like maybe there's a lot of fucking going on in these corporate events. Maybe the bigger they are, the more prominent that is, or the small offices don't. Like, I don't know. I have a very skewed view of what corporate life and corporate culture is, and it's nothing that I want to get a first-hand view of. Like, I work at Mohegan Sun, which is a monstrous corporation, big company. It's corporate. Like, I work in a corporate setting, but I work in a restaurant. So we say fucked up things to each other. We talk about sex and, you know, whatever else. We flirt with each other. That's what the fuck a restaurant is. That's what happens. It doesn't matter where the fuck you are. It's a filthy fucking environment. People don't give a fuck. They're going to say awful things. It's unprofessional. If you work with a bartender that's been there for a long time, she's going to squeeze your ass. She's going to do fuck that. That's what it is. That's what it is. Just understand that if you've never worked in the service industry and you're like, I want to try, understand that that's what it is. People are fucking. People are dealing drugs in the hallways, in the basement. The cooks are you know, drunk. I mean, people are getting fucked up. And this is a corporate environment, so even there, it's a little more, you know, stringent. You don't want to show up stoned. You know, you don't want to act a fool because there's cameras all over the place. You know, you got to really watch your step. But from what I see around me, right, the suits that walk around, the people that have the back office jobs, right, not the degenerates like me and the other people that work in the service positions or the dealers or the house cleaner, the housekeepers, and all that shit. No. Not them. I'm talking about the suits. They are exactly what you would think. They sit and they drink their fucking coffee and they eat out of their Tupperwares, even though we all get free food, right? We all get free food, but they bring their own food and they sit in their Tupperware and they with their suit and they keep their name tag on the entire time and they're so proud. Oh my God, this job is their life. Their life depends on this job. They live and die behind being a payroll manager. My God. And they just sit there and they talk about their departments. And some of them are in the same departments and they gossip and they bicker and they and they sit there all fucking, as long as, for the 30 minutes, I almost said all day, but we get 30 minutes. Everybody gets 30 minutes to sit there and talk. And then Boom. Just like clockwork, it's time to go to work. You got to go to work and you get it. But it's just, I can see how people get trapped in that shit. You follow? I can see it. I mean, it's so comfortable, right? All your friends are your coworkers. You have no problem hanging out with them after work, during work. They don't, I mean, you have inside office jokes, and it's just, it's such a scary place for a guy like me. And I know it is for some of you guys too. But I can't imagine their parties being ragers. I can't. I really can't. So I don't know. Getting fired for not wanting to engage with your coworkers, I mean, that does sound like bullshit. It sounds like bullshit, but once you get a salary, you sign your life away to these fucking people. That's it, right? That's it. They can do effectively what they want with you. They make the rules, right? They're the ones who make the rules. I mean, it went to court, and this guy, it looks like he might win, right? They ruled that the firm violated them, and so they're probably going to give him something, right? Violated his freedom of expression. I mean, come on, you can't do that. His freedom of expression is to not express himself. He doesn't want to hang out with you fucking sticks in the mud. He's got friends that he knows are going to spend a bunch of money at the bar. They're going to go to a strip club. They're going to do lines off titty. That's what he'd rather do. That's what he'd rather do. Or he's a stick in the mud himself and doesn't want to be around what you guys are doing. Maybe he could be on either side. He could really be a boring fuck who means what he's saying here about not wanting to be involved in excessive alcoholism and promiscuity. Or he could just be saying that as a cover-up so that he wins a bunch of money off of this case, to which he will blow on hookers and blow. So I don't know. It's an interesting case, I think. I think it's, the fact that you can get fired here for not being fun. I mean, come on. That's kind of wild. No fun clause in, you work for Exxon or something, and they're going to have a nice baby blood drinking party, and you don't want to be involved. You could get fired for not wanting to have fun. What do you mean you don't want to sacrifice a goat to Baphomet? This is Chevron. This is the party. I don't want to do that. Okay, then you're fired. Sorry, you're gone. No fun clause. No fun. You don't want to have fun with us? Huh? You don't think that's fun? Summoning the great dark lord by killing a living being and roasting it over a fire, not even eating it? Because we have a lot of money. We're getting it catered. We're getting sushi boats. But we have to do this. This is what we're doing. I don't know. Who gives a fuck, really? Speaking of jobs in America, a lot of jobs are lowering their requirements. They're lowering their hiring requirements. Supposedly, it's easier to get hired for things. There's more jobs open. There's almost double the amount of jobs open for every one word. There's, 1.9 open jobs for every unemployed U.S. worker. Nobody wants to work anymore. Come on, boomers. Come on out. I know there's a ton of you listening on here. Or those of you that have boomer parents. Tell them about this. Tell them that big organizations, big companies like Google, Delta Airlines, Ernst & Young, and many other companies have reduced the jobs that require 4-year degrees or other educational experience. At IBM, guys, most U.S. jobs no longer require a 4-year degree. You can just work at IBM. You can literally work at IBM. So now boomers have two things to complain about. One, nobody wants to work anymore, as if anybody ever wanted to. Number two, now uneducated immigrants can literally take their kids' jobs. They can literally take their kids and their jobs. They can come in and work at IBM. Hey, my name is Carlos. He's saying this in Spanish. Me llamo Carlos. Trabajo. And they would say, all right, kid, there's your desk, there's your cubicle. Go take a walk to the Kohl's down the street, buy a tie, a button-up, and you're good to fucking go. Sit there, put the headset on. People are going to call you and ask you about troubleshooting. I know you don't know what troubleshooting is. Speak to them in Spanish, and we'll see what happens. That's what's going to happen now. Now people are going to go back to saying the immigrants are taking our jobs, and now they can because people who are here don't want to work. They don't want to work. Nobody wants to work. Why would we work? We're the greatest empire on the planet. Come on. I already said this a couple weeks ago. We are back, baby. We are back. Do you follow? Why would we work? We don't want to work. We don't want to work. No one ever wanted to work. Can we just have robots doing everything? Just let the robots do everything, and we'll cash out on our fake currency. Okay? We'll make tons of money alone. We'll trade pictures that have lots of money and value attached to them, and that's how we'll live. We'll live in our homes. We don't have to work anymore. We don't want to work. We don't want to work. Isn't that funny when people say that? It's always old people. Nobody wants to work. Did you want to work? No, you didn't. You didn't want to work. No part of you made you want to get up and go work in that fucking Ford factory every goddamn day. No fucking part of you made you want to go work in that school every goddamn day. You did it because you fucking had to. That's it. They make it that way, that you have to. You have to go to work. You have to do it. You have to go to work. That's it. That's what life is built on. You go to work. You work. You got to go to work. Yeah, that's cool when it's necessary, right? When it's needed. Think about early humans. They went to work when they needed a house, when they needed a car. Yeah, a car. Ha! What a stupid fucking thing. When they needed food. That's when they went to work, when they had real necessities. If we could live out in the fucking world and this type of society that we live in now was just an option, people wouldn't, they wouldn't look at the things that we have as a necessity, right? Necessity is someplace warm, okay? If you can make someplace warm out of things, then there it is. It's done, right? We think of a home as someplace warm. And I'm obviously, I'm not saying we should go back to the Dark Ages. This is just a psychological thing that I noticed is that all these things that are necessities are attached to money. They're attached to money, and the only way you get money is to go to work. So we have built a necessity for currency, which in turn helps us feed ourselves and give ourselves our actual necessities rather than doing a work that cuts out that middleman. Money's just a middleman, right? Money is just a middleman. If you knew how to hunt, all you do is hunt, and now you have food. Your work is paying off in the exact thing that you're trying to get, right? Whereas and then you get people who work solely for money. I only want to make money. I want to make fucking money. But you don't keep it. You use it for something else. Unless you're an old fuck. But even then, you use it for something else. At some point, you're going to use it. You don't. It's not like hunting something, or picking a fucking herb that you have to use or store in a certain way or dry or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's money. Eventually, you're going to use it. You're working to use it. But you could save it. You could save it forever. It's not like a fucking carcass where you buy it and you fucking use it. Here's another interesting stat regarding that. Data show that 41% of the U.S. U.S. job openings required at least a bachelor's degree this November versus 46% in 2019. So it went down 5%. Now, a bachelor's degree is 5% more worthless than it was before. How interesting is that? How interesting is that? 5% more worthless was all that time you spent in school, all that time you crammed, you stayed up late, you fucked up your sleep schedule, you fucked up your eating schedule. Everything got fucked up. And you spent a lot of money, or you're waiting to spend a lot. You took out a lot of money, and you're like, oh, fuck. I hope this shit really pays off. I hope I can get a good job with this this degree from a higher education. I mean, I hope it really makes a difference. Like everyone's saying, oh, goodness, here we go. We paid money for this. And now it's 5% more worthless than it was 2 years ago. And 2 years ago was what? 3 years ago, sorry. 3 years ago was when I got my degree. And it was worthless then. You follow what I'm saying? So now, if you got your degree now, they really gypped you. I mean, what's it going to be in a few months? It'll be under, I mean, if it's, or in another couple of years, right? If this trend stays, motherfuckers don't want to work. You know, if a recession isn't induced. See, I've already said this already, though. Us broke motherfuckers, we're good when a recession. I'm not worried about a recession. Let a recession come. Let it come. I'm not worried about it. Us broke motherfuckers will be fine. Kick me out of my apartment. I don't give a fuck. I'll leave everything in here. I'll leave everything in here, and I'll sleep in my fucking car for as long as I fucking have to. I got no problem. I will be a broke motherfucker. Have a recession, bro. Have a recession. Us broke people are going to make it out okay. But I like this. This is a trend that I like. I like this. I like finding out that big corporations are being forced to hire stupider people to do the jobs that are stupid, right? Because a lot of these bachelor job you get as a bachelor degree, they're all shitty, right? You start at the bottom. They're all shitty fucking jobs, and the reason why they hire kids with college experience is because they understand what a hierarchy is. They understand what it means to cram for work and do mindless, really, you know, kind of stupid tasks over time. And then eventually the coursework gets a little tougher, a little more responsibility on yourself. The stakes get higher. You're getting closer to graduating, or you're getting closer to a promotion, and now you get that promotion, and now, you know, you're expected this of you and that of you, and, you know, and that's why they hire college kids, right? That's why there's such a thing behind the degree, because they got to indoctrinate you throughout your last 4 years of school to really understand what it is that you're signing up for, to really understand what it is that's, you know, that's going to happen once you get in your fucking workplace. It's very similar to what you're doing in school. So now they don't need to do that. Now they're like, fuck all that. Fuck all that. And hopefully it will start to take away that stigma, that line of belief that everyone has absolutely submitted to, that a degree puts you so much further ahead than your average fucking guy. All it does is say that you spent 2 years learning about a topic that you hope to get a job in. That's all it says. I say 2 years because that's your junior and senior year. By that point, you're actually learning about your major. The first 2 years are gen eds with maybe a little something in there regard. If you're majoring in finance like I did, right? I'll take like an intro finance class, right? That was part of it. And then maybe a marketing class. I think that's what I did. I had a management class, a marketing class, and a finance like 101 intro course. And then once I got to my junior and senior year, all 4 semesters were straight finance classes. That was it. And that's how it works in most colleges, unless you're in some crazy accelerated program and you're a genius, in which case you don't even need to go to school because you're smart as fuck already. That's always what boggled my mind. You're a genius. What are you doing in a school? Right? You're a genius. I mean, write papers on your own. Read books on your own. You're fucking smart. You're classified as someone who's smarter than everybody else. Why are you going somewhere where there's people who are dumber than you telling you about topics that you could probably grasp on your own? I don't understand. If you're a genius, you figured it the fuck out. You won the biological lottery, you fucking cuck. What are you doing in a school? But anyway, it's good that it would be nice to shed that belief. You know, because it's such an old belief. It's one that barely holds true anymore. There's plenty of fields that you can get in without a degree. It's all up to what you want, though. I mean, it's up to what you want and who you know. That's what's most important. Who the fuck you know. And I guess the program that you pick, the program that the school that runs that program, right? You could argue that I went to Rhode Island College, which is known for their nursing and teaching programs, and I went and did finance, you could argue that my degree is pretty much worthless, right? You could argue that. If I wanted to do finance, URI or somewhere else, but I picked Rick because I was a dumb fuck. So I'm not blaming this all on the system, but you hear about it all the time. I've been hearing about it since I was a kid, guys. Since I was a kid, I would hear the adults talking about how you could get a degree and it doesn't mean anything. I remember my mother saying, kids coming out with degrees and they're serving tables. They're working in a restaurant. They're doing this. I mean, it's crazy. I remember her saying that. I remember her telling stories about that shit all the time. Her and her friends, my grandmother chiming in, everybody talking about it at the dinner table. Yeah. And where the fuck was I directed as a child? To go get a degree. Go get a degree so that you too could also be 25 serving tables in a restaurant. Right? But here's the thing. I like to think that I'm a little more resilient than the average Momo. I mean, I am a fucking idiot. I'm a moron. To think that I will become a professional comedian, right? To be able to pay my bills off of being a comedian and to have a successful professional podcast as well. It takes so much to go right. It takes so much work. It takes a certain level of luck. So many things have to go perfect, exposure to the right people at the right time. I mean, it's such a game of chance. I may never even be good enough to do those things. That's the whole thing. But it gives my current state, my current being, just a bit of meaning. Just a little bit to get me going through it. That's it. Now, for some people, they don't have that. For some people, they don't have a certain solitary ambition that they're looking for. And for those people, I wish the best. I wish the best. I can't imagine being in that position for a long period of time. I was for a little bit when I didn't know what I was going to do after quitting, trying to be a financial advisor for 5 days, really living that life hard for 5 days. And understanding that it wasn't at all what I wanted to do, and it was only going to get worse from there, and yada, yada, yada. And for a while I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? I was so self-conscious about my life. I didn't know what I was going to do. Am I going to go back to school and get an MBA? What a stupid fucking idea that would have been. Am I going to just keep trying to apply to jobs, go to a new field? What the fuck am I going to do? I got to go back to my serving job in a restaurant? Oh, my God. With no direction. Before, I was doing it, and I was getting my way through school. Now, or the second time I went back, it was like, fuck, dude, I have nothing. I'm not going anywhere. What the fuck am I doing? I don't know what to do. And then, all of a sudden, the podcast and the comedy, and it's given me kind of a sense of direction. Because we are here. We can't deny it. As much as I want to deny it, as much as I want to say, just write it off, we're going in a box, and you don't know when, it could be tomorrow, we are here. We are here in this moment in time, and it's tough. People don't fucking tell you any of this shit. They don't tell you that shit gets tougher once you're out of your, indoctrination center, as George Carlin calls it. Once you're out of school, once you're done with that shit, all that shit when teachers would say, yeah, then it's real life. They were right. They were absolutely right, guys. They knew what the fuck was happening. We used to say, well, get the fuck out of here. I'm 15. I know what I'm doing. And then a whole bunch of shit happens, and you're like, whoa, I'm 25. This is 10 years later. I didn't know I was going to be. What did you say when you were 15 and you had that English prompt, that journal in the morning? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Well, in 10 years, I'll be 25. I'd like to be I'd like to have a nice center office in my job. I'd have a lovely car and maybe a house and some children. Or maybe I'll be very successful and I'm traveling all over the world. And everyone had these grandiose ideas of where they'd be, or at least some idea of where they'd be. And some people are living it and some people are not. And the ones who are not, Don't be discouraged. You were a dumb fuck then. You were 15. You didn't know what the fuck you wanted. You thought you did, and you realized that it was a lot tougher than you expected. And it wasn't really what you wanted in the first place. You understood that the risk-reward factor was something that you didn't really want to engage in. And the risk was, is this something that I really want to do? Am I really going to engulf my life in this and then maybe someday wake up not loving it? Not wanting to be a part of it. Because you will wake up and realize the thing that you enjoy so much is a burden and it's tough. But if you really enjoy it, then it'll never fucking go away. It'll never go away. You'll force yourself to do it. If it's something that you really want to get good at, then you will do that as well. But none of that shit matters because, again, we all die.
Me again. Follow the show, subscribe on the YouTube, buy me a coffee, use the links. Bye-bye.